would be the general evaluator, because we already have 2 evaluators evaluating the speeches, and since we're missing people, we will go with that, and we will drop that role for the day. Next is our speaking segment. I'm very excited to have Walt speaking from First Manual. It's his icebreaker speech and introduction. And Walt has lived most of his life in Washington State. He is a husband and a father of 4 boys. Wow. And currently serves as a network administrator for the city of Bothell. Among other things, Walt is also actively involved in the Royal Rangers, a local scouting program, and leads a weekly class with his wife for married couples. So Walt's title is Pleased to Meet You. Please help me welcome Walt.
Thank you, Sherry. I just wanted to start out by saying how pleased I am to be here. It's really exciting to be a part of a group like this where you get an opportunity to learn and grow amongst peers where you don't have to worry about it, even though you are nervous when you've never done it before. But today I'm pleased to be able to talk to you about a topic with which I am most familiar, and that topic would be me. It's interesting. You think you're very familiar with yourself, but the longer you live, the more you learn about yourself. So it's been a journey for me. So I hope today, though, in this sharing time, that hopefully what I share with you about myself will help you to know me maybe just a little bit better than you already do. So with that in mind, what better place to begin than the beginning? I was born in California in Marin County in 1964 to Walt and Betty Whitman, hence my name. It's named after my dad. After I was born in California, shortly after, we went and moved to Washington State and to the city of Monroe. Monroe, Washington is where I have some of my earliest and first memories. And I'm just going to reminisce a little bit about some of my memories, and then I might pick 1 or 2 just to talk about for a minute. But I remember being in the garden with my mom. The only time I ever remember us having a garden in any of the places we lived, and learning what a radish was, and learning how pretty it was, but how horrible it tasted. Because I just saw that red radish come out of the ground, and I said, I wanted that radish. It was so pretty, it had to be good. And it wasn't good. I remember the goat Arbuckle that we had. Arbuckle was a brown, kind of calico-colored goat. And I remember the time that I met Arbuckle for the first time was I went up to him innocently to greet him, and he proceeded to put his head down and ram his horns into my gut, knocking the wind out of me. It was a horrible feeling of betrayal that day. I just couldn't believe that, this guy would just do this to me. I went up to pet him, and he just puts his head down and rams me in the guts. But I remember him. He's burned into my memory deep. His peering eyes. Goats have very beady eyes, and I remember those eyes looking at me. This is a picture that I thought I'd share of me in Monroe holding one of my favorite toys, I guess, at the time. But we also, after we lived in Monroe, we went to Whidbey Island. Our whole family moved there sometime in the early 70s. And Whidbey Island is where I have a lot more memories because I started kindergarten there. I remember my first grade, second, third, and fourth grade teachers. And I remember all of those different classmates I have. I even work with some now. I've had some come to work where I work, and it's just amazing to reconnect with them and remembering those times at Whidbey Island. We lived on a farm. We were on 12 acres. It wasn't a working farm. We didn't make our living from the farm. But we had horses, we had a cow, we had some ducks, we had a lane goose. Her name was Goosey. The way I remember Goosey is it's not even a word. It's a gesture, and it's this. That beady eye, just staring you down. That's what they do. You'd come up, you'd approach the goose, and she'd go stare at you with that one eye. And then she'd put her head down and go back and forth after you hissing. And I remember her really well. I got to know her and got to overcome my fear of her in time. But Goosey was queen of her roost. She was also a laying goose. I may have mentioned that. My dad every year would take one of Goosey's eggs, hard boil it for Easter, and then spray painted gold, real pretty. And that would be the golden egg. So that was always fun. I have many fond memories of Whidbey Island until we left there in 4th grade. We came to the Linwood area. We also lived in Mukilteo for a year. And since I forgot to show you this picture, I thought I'd pass it around. This was the one I meant to hand you when I was talking about my beginnings. This is the best picture I ever took and the only one have ever been proud of myself. I have all my digits in this picture. You'll notice my left finger is still there. This was an experience I had after we had moved to the Linwood area. And this is a significant memory for me because the loss of this digit was through a violent dog attack. It actually attacked me, and I was defending myself, stuck my hand down, and the dog bit my finger, and I, reacted by pulling it out of its mouth, and that tore it off. So that was an ugly moment. I was 18 years old when that happened. But I've always been a sucker for narrated shows. I love narrated shows. And two of the ones that are just burned deep in my memory are The Wonder Years and A Christmas Story. A couple of my favorites. I chose the wrong friends and the wrong activities in my teenage years, and I had a rough time of it and suffered for it pretty mightily. But I'm thankful to say that I got it turned around before it was too late for me, and I started to live my life in a more sensible, meaningful way. But it took me some real time and some struggle and some soul searching to get to a point where I realized things needed to change. And I think it was all summed up for me at graduation in high school. It was a celebrative event. We were having a great time, everybody was, but I knew that that marked the end of an era for me, and that I didn't know where I was going. And I didn't know who I was or what my purpose would be in life. So at that time, it was really difficult for me because I felt so alone and I felt hopeless at that time. So that, to me, was the end of my growing up and the beginning of what I call my journey into manhood. What is manhood? For me, that has been a really important question to answer because I feel like I was a late bloomer. I'm somebody who started growing up later than I should have, for whatever reason, due to my circumstances and the events surrounding my life. But I can say that, for me, it's all summed up in two words: identity and destiny. Who am I and where am I going? Or you could simply put it as, what is my value and what is my purpose? So for me, those have been the keys in understanding who I am. I've been married for 18 years. I've had a career in technology for 20 years. I have 4 boys. I'm a ranger leader. I teach a class weekly for married couples. I really just lead it. I don't teach it. And it's been a great ride. It's been a great journey. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I know that wherever it goes, I'll be ready when it gets here as I go down that path. So I hope this has been helpful to you to understand a little bit more about me and maybe some insight for living for you. Thank you.